Hey, what's up, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to episode 6 of the Real Estate Talk. I am Abel Mansur.
And I am Burhan Khan.
How you doing, Brian?
Doing well, man. How about you, Abel?
I'm all right. Just came back from, my homeland of Southern California, Los Angeles. Instantly regretted it and wanted to be back home. So
how was LA? How was the trip?
It was good. I got to see family, so that's the most beneficial thing, right? Is like I got to see my grandmother, I got to see my mother, aunts, cousins. My wife got to meet everybody in our family and kind of just extend her to everybody. But the more and more every year, the more I go out of LA, the more I realize I can't live in that city the way it is. I'm just living in Michigan and then now in Virginia. It's just like, yeah, I kind of enjoy the clean air and the clean floors and the not so messed up streets, So remember, I think it was last week or the week before, I was griping to you about how I was pissed off about the property tax on my vehicle, right?
Correct.
After my visit from LA, I was just like, okay, now I understand why I have a property tax, because our roads in Virginia are not messed up.
Yeah, exactly.
So that it was good, but it's always good to kind of go home, go to your roots, see family, reconnect with them, and then come back and get back on the grind.
What are some differences you noticed between the properties in the LA area versus the properties here in the DC area? There's something specific you could point out.
The roofs are different. Obviously, the roofs are a little different because weather and stuff like that. Obviously, the property values are exponentially higher there, right?
Astronomically.
Yeah, but the problem with that is here you get more bang for your buck, right? So you'll have a nice backyard, you'll have a front yard, like more space.
Correct.
Over there, we were driving down Highland Boulevard, which is it's a street in LA where you can go to Hollywood. You could take it to go to Hollywood from West LA to Hollywood. And we're seeing these homes, and I just opened up my phone. I'm like, oh, babe, I wonder how much value or how much these homes are. They're like 8 million, 7 million. And I'm telling you, like, the space of the plot of land that they had was instantly, like, it was like nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's like a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom house, but it was stacked right next to each other.
Like a row of townhouses.
But single family houses. But They're close enough to where you're like, oh, this is like how our townhouses are here, right? So They're like right next to each other, right next to each other, right next to each other. It was just like that for over there, but it was more so single family homes stacked next to each other for extremely expensive amount.
Wow.
And then here, the difference in neighborhoods, right? So if I wanted to go down in property value, I have to drive a couple miles, right? Mm-hmm. Over there, it's a couple blocks. You can go from an $8 million home to still worth a lot of money home, but the quality of the home drops within 1-2 blocks.
Well, that's kind of how DC is.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
DC, if you go to different parts of DC,
yeah,
you can go 1 block over, and it's a day and night difference in real estate value.
Yeah.
But Northern Virginia,
not so much. Yeah.
Not so much. You can pretty much see, single family houses or townhouses, and appraisers have an easy job because they can just take a single family house or townhouse, pull up the comparable market analysis, and easily see what the market value is.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Don't get me wrong, the weather was amazing. It was a beautiful place to be. I just the more I'm removed. So I left LA in 2019, and I go back every year, sometimes twice a year. The more I am removed from LA, the more I'm like, I don't really need to live there. It's cool just to visit. Like I like where I'm at. I really enjoyed Michigan where I was there. The cost of living there was just amazing. But yeah, man, Los Angeles and New York, I just cannot see myself living there anymore after I've experienced other parts of the country.
Well, what's interesting is the states of California and New York, like you mentioned, their taxes are ridiculous, you know?
Yeah. That is true. And then they're just heavily populated. It's you're dealing with traffic, you're dealing with dirty streets, you're dealing with homelessness, you're dealing with a lot of other variables that you just don't see in other parts of the country. Because, I mean, if I'm homeless, God forbid I've ever become homeless, why would I be homeless in Virginia? Why would I be homeless in Michigan? I'm going to buy a $20 train or bus ticket and go to Southern California. I can shower at the beach and have wonderful weather. Even if I fall asleep in the streets, it's not going to be in rain or snow or extremely cold weather. So I see why people flock over there. But yeah, it's the taxes, like you said, are high, and just the wages are just not there, and way too many people, man.
Yeah, that's well, I get why a lot of people go there, the weather.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's just a tax system that can't be fixed.
Yeah. So. That is very true. And like I said, I learned to appreciate being taxed here on my vehicle, like a property tax, not a registration or something, but just me owning a vehicle. I have an annual tax that I pay in Virginia, but you see that because if you look at the roads, even if you compare it to Maryland versus here, like the roads are like night and day.
Oh yeah.
So there are things that you give, you know what I mean? So all in all, it was a good trip. The main important thing for me was to see my grandmother, who's, you know, getting up there in age, and just spending time with her was worth it. We were there for about 5 days. We did a couple of days in Vegas. Hot.
That's shocking. Yeah. You know, the weather here in the D.C. area was nice while you were gone, actually.
Exactly. I probably brought back some of the nasty weather because it rained for like 2 days straight after we came back.
Yeah.
So kind of topic I want to talk about today is just about what we do, right? Mm-hmm. Navigating being a realtor, broker, kind of things to expect in your first year, and just kind of figuring out a balance between life, work, and, you know, still growing your business and scaling your business each year. So how was your first year as a realtor?
My first year as a realtor, it was a work-life balance I was figuring out. Mm-hmm. I still had a full-time job at the time, and I was just trying to balance everything. As a realtor, you're trying to build your portfolio, right? Mm-hmm. You have your clients, you're getting to know people, and most of your clientele, they'll have a full-time job as well. Mm-hmm. So it works out because most of the time they want to view properties in the evenings or weekends, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, your first year as a realtor, and I tell everyone I work with, you're not going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So you usually have to keep a full-time job to have steady income.
Or a nice savings to allow you to be able to go months without selling a property.
Exactly, because if you're coming in as a full-time realtor, you better have, you know, either, like you said, a lot of savings, or still have some way of steady income to keep yourself, you know, with a lot of cash flow. Mm-hmm. Just so, you know, if you're not getting consistent commissions, you have something to fall back on.
Yeah.
So going back to my first year, I would just continuously build my portfolio, meet people, go to networking events, and it's referral based. Mm-hmm. You can go and do certain marketing on Facebook ads, Google ads, but I discourage that because it can be a waste of money if you're not doing it properly.
Yeah. First year of real estate for me is just a lot of you tend to weave out good and bad, right? So when you start to get calls or you start to get inquiries, anybody that calls you, you're like, yeah, let me help. You'll have a couple bad dealings, a couple things that don't go your way. That first year for me is like kind of a learning curve, right? So you start to figure out, hey, how do I do things with my broker? How does this go? What is the way to approach this? And I remember when we took the classes, the first thing that that teacher was like, hey, once you guys, get in the field and start doing this, make sure you're with somebody that's going to teach you, that's going to show you how to navigate through the field, because it's important to have somebody there that's got experience that's going to help you in your first year. So did you have that your first year?
Yep, I did. So my first year, I had my real estate broker and a supervisor. They helped guided me, because it's not easy. You're getting to learn the scope of the whole deal. They're guiding your path. And this is like learning driving. It's a whole new language. And if you don't have some guidance along the way, then you won't be able to really get an understanding.
Yeah.
Because all the time, your clients are going to ask you questions. And sometimes you don't know the answers to those questions, but then you just got to let them know, hey, I'll get back to you. And then do your research, do your due diligence. And then after you figure it out, then you get back to your clients.
Yeah, that's very true. So a bit of advice you would give a first-time agent, or a first-year agent, I should say.
Keep going. A standard fact is 90% of businesses quit. They don't fail, they quit. Everyone thinks that 90% of businesses fail because, the business just wasn't going to work out, right? But they just give up too easily. They think that everything is instant money, just like you're going to the store, 7-Eleven or some other lotto shop, and you can just win $1 million just like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. You have to put in your time and your efforts and do the proper due diligence in whatever kind of business you want to start.
That's very true.
And real estate's a business.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You're developing a portfolio of clients to help them buy and sell properties.
And not for nothing, that first year, you want to set up all those things, right? So you want to start building your base. You want to start networking, putting yourself out there, getting on social media. That's kind of been a big thing in the real estate game now, right? Everybody has something that is involved with social media, because a lot of business could come from it if you do it properly. Meeting other agents, just going to open houses and talking to people. What I did my first year is anyone and everyone I met, I let them know I'm a realtor. You just never know what could come from that. Make business cards, keep them in your pocket, hand them out to everybody. Ask them to follow your pages. That first year, you got to use it to really build your business, because you're gonna get a lot of it. It's gonna come back. If you may think, oh, this first year I didn't do nothing, but you did all the things to prepare you. Now your second year, everybody's just gonna be calling you. You're gonna be learning how to navigate through the applications process, through the writing contracts, through how to write a contract to make sure that you get the deal. Building a base of lenders that you can go to, appraisers that one good advice that I got my first year was go ahead and spend a day with an appraiser and kind of see exactly what they look at, right? So that when you go to the house or walk through with your client, you kind of already have an idea of what the appraiser is going to look for and what things to get addressed, right?
It's not just an appraiser. So you should spend a day with an appraiser, a home inspector, even the title company, every single person involved in the deal. Because in one of our other videos, we talked about how many parties are involved in each deal. Spend a day with each one of them, because you have to build a lot of connections in the field of real estate. We're all about building bridges, because the more connections you build, you'll see a lot more deal flow coming in. And that's what the first year is all about, building connections.
And to the point where you said, if you have a daytime or a current job, just because you have your real estate license and you think, oh, I'm going to be killing it like Abel and Brahan are, I'm going to go ahead and quit my job and do this full time. I would say your first year, there's a lot of money you got to spend. You got to you got to pay to get your license. You got to pay to get your business license as well. You got to pay to join NVAR or whichever association is in your area. You have to pay for business cards. You have to pay for. You won't start making money your first year. It's going to be hard. You're going to be spending money.
Gas expenses,
driving around from place to place. Like you're going to have way more expenses those first couple months. You have to get, the MLS. You have to pay for that subscription. You have to pay for the Century Lock. It's expenses upon expenses that
Correct.
can deter you to be like, man, I'm not making no money, and all I'm doing is just spending money. So having that day job or that 9 to 5 that you go to until your business picks up is going to hold you over,
Correct.
It's on top of if you have bills coming in, and if you're fortunate enough, that you have savings and you have that, then you can invest into your business. But no business is going to grow with just no money.
Correct. And that's why I stated earlier, 90% of businesses fail or quit because everyone is full of fear. They see all these expenses coming, or they don't see any success. So they just call it a day and they said, I'm done, I quit. But you had to keep going. Just like if you go to the gym, right?
Yeah.
You go to the gym for a couple of days, you don't see any weight loss, and then you quit.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. You have to go to the gym for at least, 2, 3, 4 months to see the success you want to see.
Correct.
Everything else works that way. For a business, especially in our field of real estate, you have to stay consistent at it for at least a couple years, and then you'll see the results you want to see.
What were some mistakes you made your first year that you wish I would have did that differently? How can we help first-year realtors not make that same mistake we've made? And I'll share a couple too once you share.
Be more consistent. I'll be honest with you. I had a job, and I was a little fearful. One of the great investors in America, I'm sure everyone knows him, Warren Buffett, always talks about not having fear. I did have fear in my first year. I thought myself, hey, is this going to work or not?
Yeah.
And then I wish I was more consistent, and I didn't have that fear. If I didn't, then I'm sure I would have been a lot more successful at this point.
Yeah, that's very true. For me, one of the things that I wish I would have known was, and this is very simple, and I'm pretty sure people already know this, but again, my ignorance. I thought I get my license, I'm good. I don't have to worry about getting my license, right? Or I don't have to worry about it again once I get my license until I got to renew my license. Wrong. There's continuing education. So they give you, and then post-licensing. So once you take you get your license, you're able to go ahead and sell real estate. You're able to go ahead and, start marketing yourself and doing all that. But one of the requirements of you getting your license is you have to take post-licensing class. And they give you a year to take that post-licensing class. I recommend that people take those classes slowly and early instead of trying to just cram it all in one. So for me, it's like I had a couple months left and I was trying to squeeze, I think it's 15 hours of classes, and 3 different classes. You got to take like real estate law, financing, contract writing, like those classes, and try to cram them all within like a month on top of my 9 to 5, on top of me trying to show homes and sell homes. Once you get your license, map out to try to knock those things out, at least within the first 6 months when you're not as busy. So that way, towards the end of it, you're not over here just scrambling to try to do that. And then if you have a license in multiple states, we have the luxury here in the DMV is that you can get a Maryland and DC license, but all those states also have post-licensing requirements and continuing education, and you're constantly learning. So try to open up your schedule, or just map out, okay, I got my license now, I'm going to finish this the first 2 months, this the next month. So that way you are not trying to cram everything in all at once.
And one other thing I would emphasize to everyone is just be positive. Once you get licensed, and this goes for any business, right? Mm-hmm. If you come in with a positive mindset, you're going to succeed.
No.
If you get licensed, or you're just practicing real estate, and you come in with a negative mindset, if you have an aura, like let's say you're going to present to a seller that wants to sell his house.
Yeah.
And you just come up with a negative vibe. You think he's going to sign that broker agreement with you?
Exactly, yeah.
So the same applies to when you get licensed. You have to come in with a positive attitude and approach everything like the glass is half full. If you come in with that mindset, then you're going to succeed. Then you won't come in thinking, oh, my business is going to fail.
That's very true. Once you get your license, in order for you to get your license, you have to affiliate yourself with a brokerage. How did you navigate picking the right brokerage for you?
When I first got my license, I knew the brokerage through a family connection. So I discussed with them, and that's where I made my decision to go with that brokerage.
Okay. So for me, like I had a couple choices, and obviously I chose to go with H2IO because it made the most sense for me. I would also advise people to know exactly what you're getting into and communicate all that and what your expectations are. So once things start going, you know exactly where you're at, right, with that brokerage, and know that at the end of the day, between you and that brokerage, you want to be somewhere where you're going to grow, where you're going to continue to build and eventually have something that you can look back on and say, wow, we put our head down and we built this.
Correct.
Right? What are some more tips that you would give first-time realtors or first-year realtors?
Some other tips I would give first-year realtors, especially, as we talked about earlier, some of the mistakes I made, is really go through and read all of the agreements down to the detail. A lot of realtors just go in and, they just want to go show houses, meet clients. That's great. We want to build our portfolio. But actually read through the buyer agency agreement, the exclusive right to represent seller agreement, the inspection contingency, the appraisal contingency. Read all of that. We're not attorneys. Some agents are licensed attorneys, but most of us aren't. But you should read everything just so you get an understanding of what's written in all the contingencies and agreements. Because if some clients have questions, if you know what you're reading and what's written in the contingencies and agreements, you'll be a lot more educated before you represent either the buyer or seller.
Yeah. And if you have those goals of, you're a realtor now, but you want to be a broker, know that you can't do that right away. It takes 3 years. You have to be a realtor for 3 years in order to go ahead and take your broker's license and become a broker and things like that. If you're really wanting to make a career out of this, you're in it for the long haul, and don't go in thinking, I'm gonna be killing it and selling $1 million homes, or like one of those Netflix shows that you see. Like, it took those people years to build what they're building.
Correct. And all this goes back to the effort and having a positive attitude. It takes hard work, Abel. I mean, people don't just come in and see instant coffee, passing the exam, and all of a sudden you're a millionaire, a billionaire.
Yeah.
Things don't work that way.
Exactly. And that brings me to the point, I consider us real good friends. So just a little bit, how do you find that work-life balance? I mean, you have 4 children, you're married.
Yeah.
How do you navigate through, this full-time career that you have and still trying to find time for the wife and the kids and, going home and just spending time with them and still trying to grow this business?
So that's a good question. My first few years, I had a job, the whole 9-to-5 job routine. When you have the job, then you report to work 8, 9 o'clock, you go home 5, 6 o'clock, whatever your schedule is. And then you're stuck with the mindset of, okay, I'm home now. I'm going to spend time with the kids or your family or whatever your routine is, right? Mm-hmm. When you don't have that and you have a business instead, you have to pretty much create your own schedule, which, again, I look at it in a positive manner. So I create my own schedule every day by dropping the kids off, and then my wife picks them up from school, and then I try to get home every day around 6, 7, 8 o'clock, and then spend time with the kids. And then every Sunday, I try to commit that day to the family, unless I have appointments or something else.
Yeah.
That's what I try to commit on a weekly basis?
Yeah, I feel like so like I'm not a father just yet. So I have a lot more freedom to kind of do those things, but I'm married, so it's hard to do those 12, 13-hour days and come back home and not spend time with family or even just. I feel like when I took that week off or just took a week, I took my laptop with me. I was still working. Like my wife would be sleeping in the morning and I'm opening up the laptop, sending homes to people, checking emails. It's a balance. It's something that your partner, your family has to understand. Like, hey, this is the goal that I'm trying to get at, and I'm going to have to work at this religiously. But I think sometimes we fall victims of it, that we get stuck to the grind so much that we kind of neglect what we have to do at home. So it's a balance, and I advise everybody just to find that balance, because nothing in this world is as important as the family, and you don't want to put your head down one day. And I tell you this all the time: you don't want to put your head up one day and then see, oh shit, my kids are graduating college. Like, where did the time go, right?
Yeah, and you know what? You mentioned earlier, sometimes you're up late at night. I realized this over the years because I did that frequently, and I still do. I'm a victim to it. Let's say you have to do something that's urgent at 9 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
And even I remember years ago when I used to be at an interview for a job, I used to sell them, oh, hey, I'm going to take care of this, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? If it's not going to kill you to put that away, spend time with your family, and then the next morning work on that.
Exactly.
Because family, like you said earlier, that time's never going to come back. Mm-hmm. But working on an assignment for your client, they can wait till the next morning.
Yeah, exactly.
One day isn't going to kill them.
It's a balance, right?
Yeah.
It's just finding that balance to where you're not neglecting that. Because I think that's where a lot of people fail in life, in a sense, right? They can be as successful as they want, but if they're going through a divorce or don't know, what their kid's favorite color is, or who their friends are, then what are you working so hard for, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you got to find that balance, and believe it or not, like that's more relatable to people, like, because the people that we deal with in an everyday situation is they've got a family, they've got a husband or a wife or a significant other. So they understand. So you may think like, oh no, I have to be available for my client at all times. Yeah, you have to be available, but you also got to set those boundaries too.
Correct.
Right?
And just to keep it real with you, as an agent, as a realtor, we do have to set lines, because if someone crosses over the line with either a really bad attitude, or I feel sometimes they're giving a really being really negligent with the way they are, then we don't have to sign a exclusive right to represent buyer agreement or any other broker agreement. We can just tell them, oh, hey, we don't want to provide you with our services.
Exactly.
Just like if you go to a grocery store or a bank, you walk in and you give a really bad attitude, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to tell you to get out, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Same approach here.
Kind of. It's the saying that I used to always hear. It was like, not all money is good money, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't have to put up with something because they're paying you a certain kind of amount. Like you have to, again, set those boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, value what your core beliefs are, and don't go away from those core beliefs. Right before we got on camera, I was talking to you about how I had this opportunity to have a client sell their home, but it wasn't in their best interest to do that, because it just didn't make sense for them to do that. So believe it or not, those things go a long way. And this is for any first-time agent that's really trying to, grow their business and grow their portfolio, as Brian said. The little things that you do go a long way into what you're trying to do in the long grand scheme of things, right?
The intangibles.
Yeah. So those little tangibles, those honest talks, or I like to put myself in the position of the client that's in front of me, right? Mm-hmm. Would I do that for me?
Yeah, that's how you have to approach it. If you're an agent that just wants the quick cash, and I always heard the stories that the agent, he gets his commission, then he disappears. I've
Yeah.
heard that story. I've heard other stories that agents, they go under contract, then they don't answer
Their
you.
phones are off until closing day.
Until
Yeah.
closing day.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I've heard these stories. But a great agent that has a successful business will be there with you from A to Z, from the beginning till the end. They'll take care of you, and they'll do what's in your best interest.
Yeah.
If they see anything like a major defect in the house or a huge issue in the condo resale docs, they'll immediately tell you, "Hey, let's get out, let's release."
Exactly. The thing is that comes to the ethics of what the classes that we're taking on ethics. Like, those things go a long way, and I think that's what sets us apart as H2Isle Property, is that we just
Correct.
we go that extra mile for people. And this is a shameless plug into what we do, but it's just so true, and it means a lot to people, right? I've had clients where I've offered to help them move, like, and they don't. I mean, some have taken me up on that offer, and I instantly regretted it. But it goes a long way for somebody, because if you do that for them, and this is for any first-time agent, you do those little things, when it comes 2 years, 3 years down the line, they're gonna come back to you, or you do that gesture, or you help them out in that sense, and you do what's best for them. They're gonna refer you to their brother. They're gonna refer you to their mother-in-law who's trying to buy, the coworker who's trying to buy. Like you said earlier, this is a referral-based business.
Correct.
You can do all the social media. You can do all the what is it, when they send newsletters and things like that in the mail. All those are great, and they're extra added on. But if you sit down and just survey agents, a good amount of them will tell you a good chunk of their business comes from referrals.
Correct, because when you're buying a house, it's one of the biggest purchases you're gonna make.
Yes.
You're not going to Walmart and buying something, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're making a big investment, and before you make that big move, you need someone you can really trust. And for that, you're going to ask your friends and family, who should I consult?
Yeah.
That's why the majority of businesses for realtors come from referrals.
Referrals, exactly. And it's just, it's crucial. Like, people think like, I'm going to come in this, I'm going to make a killing. And yeah, you might have one or two good transactions, but if you don't treat those clients well, or if you make that process hell for them, that's going to work in the opposite. Just how it's referral based, it can be referral based in a negative way, right? Oh, don't use that person. He's not a good realtor. Don't use her because she did nothing for us and didn't negotiate or fight for us, or never answered her calls, and she never showed us the houses that we wanted. Like, everything that you do is gonna trickle down. If you do something that's positive, it's gonna trickle down into how they represent you. So the difference between, I guess, any other field is that your personality, your way of doing business is what is reflective of your business. So, for example, I can own a 7-Eleven and be the world's worst person, right? A horrible human being. But don't nobody care about me being a horrible human being, because they're not coming into 7-Eleven for my personality.
Correct.
Right?
They're coming to buy the goods.
Exactly. So, and for realtors, your personality, the way you are, how you carry yourself, how you treat them, that's essentially your goods and services that you sell.
Well, we're a service-based industry.
Yeah.
That's what we are. We're not really selling the good. We're not selling the house.
Yeah.
We're
Yes.
selling a service
Yeah.
to help guide them on what's the best approach on helping them buy their dream home.
Exactly.
So we're just selling a service.
Yeah, no, it's crucial in just how you present yourself, how you carry yourself, even down to the way you dress.
Yeah.
You know, like that. Are they gonna take, if you're showing up in a t-shirt of a rock band, some jeans, and some flip flops to a showing? You think that person's gonna approach you like a professional?
I agree. I mean, you ever heard of the old saying, the good old saying, "Don't judge a book by its cover"?
Yeah.
I talk to people. You know, everyone's gonna judge you by how you dress. Everyone judges the books by its cover now.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially when you're making those, dress like the way you want to be treated, right?
Yeah.
So if you come in and you're like in some jeans and you're just like, yo, what's up, bro? Like, da, 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 like we gonna go show these, like, they're gonna treat you in that energy. Now you're not taken as a professional. Now this is different if you're showing your brother a house or somebody, one of your friends. I even go down to, even if it's my brother, my friend, like, this is my bread and butter. I treat this like it's my business. I'm treating you like you're a professional, and I'm a professional, and we're doing this in a professional manner.
Correct.
To the closest of people to me, because now you're stepping into my realm, right? So I'm not gonna sit here and act like, oh yeah, he's my brother or my friend, so I can go to the showing wearing a t-shirt, and I can go have him go see the house by himself. Like, it's no, like, I'm gonna go just down to the T. I'm gonna present myself as a professional, and now we're in this professional transaction because I'm selling you my goods and services.
Yep.
That across the board, treat everybody the same, and then you don't have to worry about just negative things that come your way, right?
Exactly. You have to treat everyone equally.
Exactly.
Like, as you said, don't, just because someone looks like, they come up to you and they pull up in a beat up car, and you're thinking as a realtor, man, this guy doesn't have any money.
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste any time with him. But guess what? What if they have $1 million sitting in the bank?
Exactly.
So you have to treat every single client the same. Because believe it or not, and everyone probably knows this, if someone comes up, in a really nice car, right? Let's say someone comes up in an Audi, and you think that they're loaded. They might have so much debt they can't even be financially qualified to get a loan.
No, exactly.
So you just can't judge a book by its cover. But as I said earlier, unfortunately, most people do in America. That's
just how it is. Yeah.
That's just how it is.
And then the other thing, I guess, for first time agents, the landscape in real estate and just realtors in general is changing, and it's changing for the quote unquote for the good, for the better, whatever it may be. But the advantage that you have now as a new agent is that the way you do business now is going to be the way you do business. You're not having to adjust and change to the way that used to be done before. So I used to know agents, or I know agents that would have them sign their exclusive right to represent agreement at the day of when they offer their contracts and things like that, and that's just how they've been doing it, so they'll continue to do it that way, right? Well, now, if you're doing business as a realtor, there are certain ways. Get those agreements signed out. If you put those habits to yourself now, those are the habits that you're going to carry moving forward.
The rest of the way, yeah, you have to build those habits now. I understand in the past, a lot of realtors didn't have those habits. You have to change now. And a lot of older realtors are retiring, so that just opens up the field for everyone, just in general.
And not so much you have to change, just get the right habit. If you do the right habit, that will be your habit. All of this now, you're a first-year agent. Do it this way, and you're doing it the right way. Don't fall into, oh, no, my agent or my broker does it this way, so that's how I'm going to do it. Like, a lot of times, yes, but if it's not the right habit, then that's even a way to correct that person and say, hey, in my class, this is how they wanted us to do it. Like, so shouldn't we do it this way? Like, yeah, he's gonna look at you like, I've been doing this for years. Like, what the hell are you telling me? But at the end of the day, if you're saving him, her, whoever that brokerage is, from any audits that can end up hurting them in the long run, right?
And most agents that don't want to do it, believe it or not, I just think they're a little scared that they don't want to make change.
Yeah.
And most of the successful entrepreneurs in America, they change every day. They have no fear.
How's diamond made, Brahan?
Diamond is made by looking,
No, what I mean by like actual diamond. Diamond is formed under pressure, right?
Yeah.
So that's exactly how what I wanted to use that analogy as like you get that beautiful stone through pressure, right? So a diamond comes out of when all that pressure is applied. That's the same thing that can happen with your business.
Correct.
If pressure, uncomfortableness, the unknown, if you can navigate through those things, at the end of it, you're going to have this beautiful diamond, which is your business, which is your portfolio.
Correct.
That's going to end up taking care of you for the rest of your life and even generations to come.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, it's just by making it habitual every day, daily, looking for change.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do that, just stick to the 9 to 5 job. Honestly.
Yeah. This is exactly like real estate. If you're looking for something that, go into property management. If you still like real estate, and you want to be involved in the real estate game, but you want like an hourly salary and you want to know what you're going to make and you want a cap on what you're going to make, then go into property management.
Yeah.
Don't, this real estate game is not for the weak.
Exactly.
Especially now more than ever, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not equipped with those hustle tangibles, those, the unknowns and just having to work hard for what you got to get, this is not going to be for you.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I read a statistic that said like 60% or even a higher number, I can't think of that number, don't last past 2 years in real estate.
And I want to stress this. I did a lot of research on that. It's because they get licensed, but they think they'll become instant millionaires within 1 year. Or they just get into something else.
If that does happen, it's very rare. And you've already have to have the connections that are going to put you in those positions.
You know what's funny? One of my clients told me they saw a realtor post, just like we're doing, right?
Yeah.
On Instagram and all these social media every day for like 6 months about being a realtor. And then the same person quit that, and then they were posting some other business.
Yeah.
So it goes to show you people aren't consistent. So
exactly.
I'm sure that same guy, I hope he succeeds, but if you're not consistent with one business, whatever you do for at least a few years, you're going to fail.
Yeah, and that's just how the nature of everything in life is, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I equate a lot of things to sports, right? So a lot of my success and a lot of the things that I'm proud of, those habits were created through youth sports, through high school sports when I was playing, from the time I was 5 to all the way up until high school, I played sports. It taught me adversity. It taught me how to lose. It taught me how to win gracefully. I stress sports so much, and I don't want to get off topic, to how life is, right? So through sports, you learn a lot of things. And a lot of my success, I equate to being on a football team, on a basketball team, running track. Because it helped me learn how to navigate through all that. It helped me to start somewhere, set a goal of where I want to be, and start taking those steps to get to that goal. And that's the same thing with real estate. The hardest step for you is going to be finishing the courses that you need, getting that license. Then now it's setting. My first year I said a tangible goal, right? I want to make $800,000 in sales, and then just slowly start working towards that. Put your head down and do all the things that are needed to be done. And I'm sure that's the same way you went about things, right? So
correct.
Little wins equal to big gains, just like you said in the gym.
Yeah.
Little wins equals to big gains.
Exactly. And if you go a couple of days in the gym and you don't see what you want, you have to keep going. But if you don't stay consistent at it, that's what everything is about, consistency, then you're not going to be able to see your success.
Yeah, no, that's definitely some solid advice for people that want to continue and go on this real estate journey. And as they're seeing us go through this journey, I mean, we're not perfect, but we're learning things on the fly, and we're always constantly learning. I think that's the key, is to just constantly
learn on a daily basis.
Yeah, exactly. So with that, I guess we will end this episode. We'll be back next week. We're hopefully going to have another guest on here.
We're going to have Imran next week. He's a home inspector, and speaking about learning, I've learned a lot from him. Mm-hmm.
I've
done countless home inspections with him, representing the clients. And the nice part is I learned a lot through him, because he's a licensed certified home inspector. And through each home inspection, I learned so much about, the ins and outs of what a home inspector does.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So, again, hit that follow, subscribe button. Comment us some things that you learned. If you have any questions, concerns, go ahead and DM us. Let's build this community. Let's build this platform and grow this business that we have envisioned, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. I'm Abel Menser.
I'm Burhan Khan.
See you next week.
Take care, guys.